who are not able to make it, which we got a few. Welcome everybody. Today is an exciting day. I have obviously some really awesome content, some good things we're going to be teaching you guys today, but I've got a special guest who you're not going to know just yet. It's going to be just a little bit. So give me just 1 minute. I'm going to go ahead and set this up. We've got a few people trickling in. I have never had as many, let's see here, requests as to whether or not I was going to be recording this training as I have on this one. I know this is during your guys' work day, so thanks for coming. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so share desktop 2. And, oh, there we go. The mystery is real, folks. As soon as it comes up, there we go. All right, so make sure everything is working here. You guys, thank you for coming. Again, we have an amazing training today all about how to convert leads into patients. In fact, in the invite email, the first one that went out, it says the game you never knew you were playing, the rules to help you win big. We've got some really interesting things that I guarantee you have never heard before. And that's not hyperbole. I promise you, you're going to look at the way you do marketing, at the way you're doing your marketing in a new way and in an improved and better way. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Welcome. One of the things I really want to make sure that everybody does today is win big. Okay. There's no point in coming here if we're just going to be passive and kind of listen by and by. Really, at the end of the day, you're going to get the most if you're paying attention, if you're engaged, okay? And that's what I want to make sure that everybody does. So I know Alan knows where the chat function is. Thanks, Alan, for engaging already. But let's make sure that at the bottom of your screen, there is a chat function. There's a chat window. Go ahead and grab that and let me know that you are there. In fact, I need to pull up the chat window, which is here so I can see. Okay. All right. Heather's making it work. Let's make sure everybody else is here. We got to move. Oh, come on, Sam. Get your act together. This goes down on this screen. I got 2 screens going, you guys. So bear with me. All right. Corey's here. Jared's here. All right. Let's rock and roll. Here we go. All right, we all know how to use the chat. So a couple things before we get started. Today's training is for everyone. Now this obviously I do these weekly trainings for our patient stream users. I want you guys to be up on the best and the latest and what you need to do to fill your practice with new patients. But this training is for everyone. So if you're not a patient stream user and it kind of feels like maybe I'm not talking to you, this is for you as well. So you are in the right place. Okay. There's going to be links that we reference during this presentation. I will make sure that those links and those resources are for you at the end. All right. And then just before we get started, I do have a goal. Anytime I do a training, okay, the name of my company is called Patient Stream. What I'm here to do is anything related to getting you new patients. Okay. That is our singular goal. I don't want to go into all these other realms of, maybe things I'm not qualified to talk about. But when it comes to new patient marketing and how to get new people in the door and convert them into care, that's what we're here to do. So that is our goal. An overview about what we're going to be talking about here today is, one, the only numbers that matter. I guarantee you this right here, we're going to start off in a place where you guys have never seen what I'm about to show you. That one bullet point all by itself. That's going to be amazing. Something we call the GAP formula. That's going to be a game changer for you. The transformative tactics. Okay. So, I know a lot of times when we do these webinars, these workshops, it's easy to get caught up in, what somebody did, but we don't really talk about the tactics about how they did it. Okay. So I want to make sure that I arm you with new tactics so you can start getting some of these results right away. And then doubling your practice with the new info that you're going to learn today. And that, again, is not hyperbole. In fact, I did a cases closed, which if you've not seen it yet, that'll be coming out and that will be sent out on Monday via email, with a gentleman who doubled his practice with exactly what I'm going to show you here. And you can do exactly what he did. So let's go ahead and get started. Get ready to use the chat box. There's something coming. So pull it up. I'm going to ask you for some engagement really quickly right now. Let's go ahead. All right. Numbers that matter. All right. So my experience, I've been in the chiro space and in, working with private practices for about half a decade. And in that time, this could be plus or minus a few $100, but the average chiro patient total lifetime value is more or less, and especially if you're doing care plans, it's more or less around $1,500. Okay. I'm just establishing a baseline before we get too far into this training here. The average integrated patient is usually about $3,000. Now, you might be way higher than that, because I know a lot of integrated practices who are way higher. And I know a lot of chiropractors who have PVAs that are crazy. So I just want to, again, establish a baseline of what the unit of value is that we're talking about during this presentation is. Okay, so 1,500, 3,000. So in that case, I want to pose to you a scenario. Okay, I want to post you some numbers. And again, I'm going to ask you for some engagement. So get those chat boxes ready. What if I was selling new patients? I'm standing here. I got a line of people behind me. And for $100, I will sell you a patient, a paid patient. Okay. How many would you buy? Grab the chat. Let me know you're there. Let me know that you're listening. How many patients would you buy if I was selling them for $100 a pop? They're standing behind me. They got their wallets open. They're ready to get the help they need. How many would you buy? Alan says 30, 100, as many as I can. Exactly right. Okay. Let's go a little bit further. How about $200? Okay. I'm selling them for $200. Okay. I got them behind me. How many would you buy for $200? I mean, Mark says as many as I can. Corey, 100. Okay. Let's get a little bit crazier here. Now, again, we're doing an example. Thousands, $300, thousands. Okay. So we're establishing right now, the whole idea. If I had people in hand, ready to go, paid patients, it's an immediate delta. It's an immediate arbitrage. You pay $200, you get your $1,500 patient. Boom, you're making $1,300. Okay, if it's a integrated patient, you're making way more than that. All right, the numbers really make sense. All right. So all of you would do it. It would be like printing money. Now let's talk about some even crazier numbers. Now these numbers they really are crazy. The number 42%, which when I was in school, that meant you got an F. That meant you failed. Okay. And then 65%, that is a D. And that's not going to get you very far in life either. However, here's something really interesting about these numbers. Okay. If you can get 42% of your leads, you get an F. Okay. If you can get 42% of your leads into your practice and only convert 65%, you can absolutely double your practice or even better in as little as 2.5 months. And that number, by the way, you can do it faster than that, but that number is an actual case study. All right. So and we have a lot of people that have actually done things just like that. Now, 42%, 65%. What if you close better than 65%? You're going to do even better. Okay. I want to rearrange our brains a little bit here, okay, about paying for a patient and what a lead means. We're going to talk about that here in a second, okay? This idea of understanding how to go from where you're at, okay, and maybe some of you are just absolutely fantastic in your practices and, but I'm guessing you're here to learn some new things so you can grow, okay? The GAP formula is all about understanding stat number 1, which is 42%, stat number 2, which is 65%, okay? And that can absolutely equal crazy, crazy growth. All right. And we're not done with the numbers yet. Okay. Because again, I want to rewire your brains to understand something extremely, we want to have a paradigm shift. All right. When people use the GAP formula, okay, lead cost is almost irrelevant. All right. Here's what I mean. If you were to take the patient stream average lead cost, which right now is $22.96, okay, and you follow the GAP formula, a new patient will only cost you $89.69. Okay, people lined up behind me, $82, 69 cents. All right. $30 leads, $109. $40 leads, $146. $50 leads, $182. Those are expensive leads, $50 leads, but it's still only $182. We just said if they were lined up at the door, we buy them. Here's the reality. The lead cost is not the problem. Focusing and honing in on lead cost is not the problem, and it never has been. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying we should be excited about expensive leads, okay? But what I am saying is I want you to see the big picture. The big picture. I want you to see the forest through the trees, okay? And here is the big picture. Growing your practice, success, getting a whole bunch of new patients come when you focus, when you mind the gap. You guys seen this? I went to the UK once and it said mind the gap. I thought that was so funny. But anyway, when you focus on the gap, that's where everything changes. Okay. So who is interested? Grab that chat again. I want to make sure that we're all there. I know we had a lot of people who are ready to buy those patients. Let's see who's interested in learning the formula that will transition you from a lead buyer into a patient buyer. Carol says, I am. Alan says, I am. Heather says, let's do this. All right, the gap formula. Let's do this. Now, I didn't do much of a intro here because I wasn't looking at my slides. But let me go ahead and do this real quick. I have an amazing guest who, of course, I jumped ahead of myself. All right, more. I'm going to promote you to a panelist, Adi. So you should be there. Adi, are you there? There she is. All right. Let me go ahead and share the presentation again. Sorry for the okay, here. Play. All right. So I'm here with a very special guest, Adi Campusano, the rules and tactics so you can add 20 plus new patients a month. Adi, are you able to unmute? I don't know if I hear you yet.
Okay, there I go.
There she is.
And I can start video whenever you'd like, but not yet.
Okay, wonderful. Before we jump into this, I want to introduce you guys to Adi. So Adi Campusano, Adi has over 20 years of working inside the gap for local businesses just like the ones that you're running. Okay. Her day job, the business she runs is a robust and amazing lead qualifying service. So if there's anybody qualified to talk about what we're doing today and what we're going to learn today, it is her. And all of her reps are US only based reps. So go ahead and you can put your camera on now, Adi. Okay. And as we jump into this, I want to set up, I want to first have a discussion. And you guys who are listening, I want you guys to chime in. If you have questions, chime in whenever you want to. I want to have a discussion about that 42%. Okay. That 42%, which is we're getting leads. All right. And let me make sure that my chat box just went away. Dang it, you guys. Okay. Chat box, put it back. There it is. Hit play. I'm totally revealing what's coming. So let's talk about the 20%. It breaks into those two parts. Actually, before we do that, Adi, hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, but I can't, my camera is restricted.
Oh, that's probably something else I'm doing. Let me go ahead and take care of that. Anybody watching the replay is going to see how awesome I am at doing this. So let's see here, participants, panelists. I'll get it. So while I'm finding
while you're doing that,
yes, please, thank you.
While you're doing that, Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for the introduction and the opportunity to be involved in this because like you said, I've been doing this for 20 years. We have a phenomenal staff in North Dallas. Everybody's, like Sam said, American, US based and totally relatable because we've all kind of been your potential client, right? We've all kind of been to a chiropractor or seen a lead and been on that side of it. Our specialty is to bridge that gap. When you run an office, which you guys have so much familiarity with, there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, and your office staff has a lot to handle in person, and they're, working with everything coming in on the regular. To grow your business, though, marketing is essential, and the process of following up with leads, nurturing them, and establishing a rapport, connecting with them immediately is so important. So there are so many components that we focus on and give you 100% attention on behalf of your practice to get those leads to convert into qualified appointments that will show up. And so that's what we love to do. And our staff gets super excited when we're able to speak to somebody and provide them with a solution to their problem, which in your guys' case is discomfort and pain. So it's actually very gratifying for us to be the messenger and communicate to them that there is a solution and there is a practitioner that can assist them, and that getting them into the office is pretty much that first step to getting them feeling better.
Perfect. You should be able to share your camera now. There you are. All right. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Technical difficulties, you guys, again, watching on the replay. Sorry about it. And you here live. Let's get going. All right. So let's talk the 42%. Jump right into the tactical approach and some of the things that we see when it comes to improving and minding the gap, as it were. Okay. Now, I've divided the 42% into two parts. And the reason I did that is because if we take one thing and it's too complex and too broad, then it's hard to figure out the working parts and how to approach them and get the results we want. Okay. Because it's easy to say, all right, we'll just get 42%. But really, them showing up at the office, at the clinic, has everything to do with the things that happen in between. So I want to go ahead and start with a 60% appointment set rate. Now, again, before we jump into this, these are targets. This is what we're aiming for. 42% is the goal, but what if we get like a 70% appointment set, but a 60% show rate, or a 50% set and an 80%? The goal is to get that 42%. So with 60% being the target, let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that, after doing this for a while myself, and as well as, meeting and learning from Adi, some of the things that can help. And then Adi, I'll kind of just, turn it over to you and just, you can talk about how these things can help our users get to that 60%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So power of automation. Let's start there.
Yeah. So responsiveness is king. And when people have interest and you have their attention, it's so important to capitalize on that moment because it doesn't come that often. If you have their attention in such a distracted world, you want to be present and you want to acknowledge them. And that's where automation is beautiful, because the moment that they opt into an ad, they're immediately responded to. They're getting a text acknowledgement, an email acknowledgement. And so they feel heard. And especially if they're coming to you because they're uncomfortable or have a problem to solve, it's so important that they know that you guys care about them from the beginning. So automation is beautiful for that. I love it. And it just sets the tone for the next step.
Yeah. And on automation, we see probably the most response coming from text. Is that what you see in your call center?
Yeah. So when people get the text, the automation is nice because it feels like a person on the other side. So they might respond. At that point, automation, it changes, right? So it's important for you at that point to swap out the automation, which can be impersonal, with a human, which will be personal. And so automation works well to start that interaction. And the moment that they respond and they're engaged with you on the next level, it's important to then kind of override your automation and show them that as a person on the human level, you're there and you're present. And that's where response time does come in.
Yeah. So response time, this is, in fact, I don't know if I'm sure you do, but MIT, I don't know how long ago it was, did a study about a couple of the factors that really play into whether or not a lead converts into a sale. Okay. And one of the most impactful things was response time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think do you know of this study?
I mean, I've heard it referenced many, many times.
And I think the reference point was within a 5-minute interval, like a 5-minute time frame of that lead being generated, there was like a 400% conversion uptick in leads that were responded to in that time frame. So how big of a factor is response time?
It's huge because it's that window of opportunity again, while their focus is on getting in communication with you. So if they've been scrolling and something catches their attention or they're actively seeking relief for an issue, being responsive and getting to them within 5 minutes is huge because it's still on their mind. And I would say that every year going forward, that statistic is more and more important because we're presented with so many more distractions all the time. Everything is always scrolling and moving and pinging, and there's so many things that will pull your attention away. So getting and striking while the iron's hot and getting a hold of somebody while they are focused on what you're calling about is huge. It's absolutely huge, and those numbers are definitely accurate in your increase in your ability to connect with them and get the result you're looking for, which is the appointment set.
Yeah. I think a lot of people know this, and we'll talk later. I mean, we're going to do a Q&A on this because I know there's going to be people who kind of knee jerk to like 5 minutes. We're running a business, we'll talk about that here in a minute.
Okay.
Calling. Now, I want to set this up a little bit because obviously you run a call center. So I don't want it to seem like, what is it? The fox in the hen house or whatever. I cannot tell you. Okay. And actually I will tell you, there is data, and I have a dashboard full of data as to the level of response and engagement that comes via just the automation. Okay. If you want to hit this 60% mark, okay, if you want to like go after the 42, if you want to hit these numbers, you will not do it. Unequivocally, you will not do it without calling. It's not going to happen. So talk to me, Adi, about best practices in calling. Let's talk calling now. This is your area of expertise.
Absolutely. And so I'll walk you through the process that we have found success in over and over and over again, where we are hitting these numbers and we are getting these conversions. So we love automation. The response time is when we call. So we always want to be fast to the punch. And so we call in less than 5 minutes. So immediately, as soon as that lead opts in, as soon as there's any kind of interaction, we're calling. And that's huge because they're on top of mind. Now, even on the dial, there's a technique, we double dial. And so sometimes we'll call and it'll go to voicemail. And if we do that, we call again. And I know personally, I'm busy all the time, but if somebody double dials me, psychologically, immediately, I'm like, this must be important because they've taken the time to go again, and I'll pick up and they have my attention. And so we always do that. We'll double dial on that call. We'll get them on the line. And then the next part is really just being very strategic about your way of communicating. So we use scripts. Scripts are great for giving a solid guideline and structure to the conversation. But having said that, we never sound scripted. So building rapport,
a big piece. Yes.
Huge. Yeah, nobody wants to talk to. Sounding scripted almost negates the process because it doesn't feel genuine. And especially when somebody's reaching out to a medical office, that feeling that you're being cared for, and that nurturing factor is huge. So the scripts for us are just a guideline to ensure that we kind of hit all of the necessary points that we want to hit on our call, so that we're always comprehensive in communicating effectively, because communication is key, especially when somebody is uncomfortable, they're in pain. They need a clear roadmap of what to expect and how this is going to be a good situation for them, how this is going to be a move that could change the course of their life and how they feel. And we get that feedback all the time. We have our team calling and we talk to people who are so happy that they've heard from us. They're so happy with that response time. Like, wow, I can't believe you guys called me so fast. And one of my girls was just telling me she had a patient on the line, and he was so happy that when we were booking a time to come in, he's like, can I come in now? I just want to get feeling better. And he was just excited to come in. So he was so responsive to the process because he just wanted relief. And so the script gives us a great guideline and keeps us on track, but building a rapport and being empathetic and being compassionate in tone and in dynamic of the conversation is so important, because people deal with people, and people need that connection when they're looking to do anything.
Exactly. So a point and then a question. The double call, that is, or you call it a double dial, right? The double dial. First of all, whenever people have asked me the question like, hey, we're not getting a hold of as many people as we would like, how can we improve that? You can double your contact rate just by doing that.
Yes.
Okay. That one thing all by itself. And the reason, culturally, I screen my calls. We all do. If it's a number I don't recognize, I'm screening it. But if they call back again, I'm picking up. And guess what? I'm not bothered. That's the odd thing. We kind of think that, well, it seems somewhat like intrusive to double dial, but to the contrary, actually. That is not the case. So double dialing should not be something you should be afraid of. You should be excited. It's absolutely something that should be done.
And it's more intentional. It comes off as intentional. Like
yes.
I meant to speak to you because I have something for you.
Yes. Scripting. I want to talk about scripting.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the right script can turn what some people call a quality lead. They might say, hey, this is bad quality. The right script can turn even a quote low quality lead into a qualified prospect. What are your thoughts? Pontificate on said statement.
I agree. I agree. The right script makes all the difference because it structures the conversation and it keeps people comfortable so that they can relax on what to say next and be more conversational and more engaging with the caller. So if I have in front of me what I'm going to be talking about, I'm not distracted by what am I forgetting? Am I getting the right information? Have I communicated everything that they can expect when they come in for the consult? So it takes the burden and the distraction of what do I do next? And it keeps you on task. A great script will have a reminder in there to acknowledge the person that you're talking to empathize with the struggle of what motivated them to reach out, what pain they're dealing with, and what that's going to kind of look and feel like when they get some relief. And so people act emotionally. They don't buy or come in or make decisions logically.
Yeah.
They might eventually say no logically if you get them out of their emotional state. But if they are in an emotional state, that's when they move forward. If it feels good and if it feels better than the discomfort that they're in now, you're going to get them in and you're going to get that commitment from them over the phone. And so having that designed through a script just makes it easier to flow.
Yeah. We could spend, in fact, I did a training last week just on this one point, the 60% appointment set rate. So I know that I could spend a ton of time, but we need to keep moving. But I will just say that your script needs to build trust. And if you take all of the little ingredients that Adi kind of, laced through that explanation, they're all kind of driving towards trust. Okay. So again, that's a broad topic. We could talk about that for a long time, but let's go ahead and move on to the show rate. Most people don't do a confirmation call. Most people don't do a lot of things. How are you strategically, like, let me go ahead and just reveal all of these. So they're just out there. Okay. 70% show rate, getting people into the clinic. What are the best practice in your mind? And let's kind of deconstruct these points here.
Sure. So on the confirmation call, I think I'll actually reference back to number one on the 60%, which is the power of automation. And so you want to have those tech reminders, because we're also tied to our phones, and we're also used to, getting reminders and notifications. So I think that having the confirmations come in through email and text is great. But again, we want to always connect with people and just further that trust and that rapport. And so calling people to confirm the appointment, and not just, hey, I have you scheduled for this day and time, but also to just remind them if there's anything that they should wear, if there's any differently, if they should be in comfortable clothes, if they should, anything that they should be mindful of, even if it's, parking at your office facility. So you just want to kind of get them into, an understanding that, they're coming, we're expecting you, we're happy to see you, and engage in that way.
Yeah. So the rule of three is an important one. It's not one a lot of people know. But talk to us about the rule of three. What is the rule of three, and some of your thoughts and as far as getting people to show.
So we want to, when we're reaching out, we want to call, we want to engage, use their name, we want to talk to them and acknowledge them. We want to make sure that they have all the details about the conversation, about the appointment and coming in. And so,
yeah. And the timing. So like today is Thursday. Okay. The timing of the rule of three is, my wife, if she sets me an appointment out for like next Friday, man, I'm going to forget about it.
The rule of three, the 3-day rule. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. The 3-day rule.
Sam.
So, no problem. No problem.
Okay.
I mean, it's really interesting because, and this is written into new patient school, but a lot of times we gauge the, the commitment level in the urgency level.
Yeah.
Right. And so the rule of three is there to help people, let's not schedule if it's Monday, we don't want to schedule them past Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday is like kind of our deadline.
Yeah.
Right. So talk to me about the urgency and how that can kind of improve people's show rate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sorry for that.
No problem.
Just to even reference the call I was talking about before, I mean, that the gentleman who we were just on the phone with recently wanted to come in right now. I want to come in today, because that's the urgency of his need. And so we always want to increase the likelihood of show by giving them options and appointment times that are in 3 days or less. If we go out farther than that, it's very likely that things come up, there's other distractions, and they disconnect from that feeling of need, even if they are still uncomfortable and they still need the services. So we always want to, again, same thing as the response time and following up when they first opt in, or following up on any communication. We want to get them in as soon as possible. And Sam and I were just talking the other day that there's even, offices that don't want to book out past 3 days, and we'll even, communicate that their schedule is full, but we'll call them with a cancellation, which would create that urgency to get them in, because it's a scarcity mindset, right? So you want to make sure that you're prioritizing the appointment by having a shortened availability window, so that they value that slot and they don't want to risk losing it, because it's going to be a while before they can come back in.
Yes, exactly. And just so you guys know, when you're looking at these two pieces, the 60%, the 7%, what you're seeing presented here is exactly what a professional call center who hits these numbers, by the way, what they're doing. Okay. So what you should be thinking, and what the goal of this is what are we doing and where might we be falling short? Right? Are we picking up the phone? Do we double call? Are we using the daily marketer script? Okay. These are some of the things that if you want to immediately implement the gap formula, you want to start looking at, hey, this is how a pro does it. What can we glean? What can we learn from this? All right. Now, let's talk the 65%. Okay. And by the way, what happens on the first call will absolutely impact what happens if whether or not we're able to hit the 65%. I know a lot of people who would say, oh, I enroll 80% of my patients. Well, hold on. You enroll 80% of the patients who trust you. All right. So we need to, again, start with this process. So one, I always start with this, okay? Start with qualified leads. Okay. And this is something that Patient Stream, we build our entire strategy. Our click campaigns are built with this in mind, meaning a qualified lead is a person who raises their hands to a qualified question. That doesn't mean, hey, do you have pain? That means, do you have knee pain? Do you have migraines? We ask very specific questions. Okay. And so we want us to make sure that like this whole process starts. We make Adi's job way more effective by giving her like a very niche audience to talk to. That way, that reason, like they know what they're talking about. Yeah. Right.
That's all right. Huge.
That's absolutely huge. We've talked about this. No replacement for a phone call. I don't know if in your line of business, I feel like since you're a call center, you probably don't see this. People get to you by the time they realize, oh, maybe we should be calling, you know? But for what we do, I see everybody wants to they want to work so hard on making the automation replace everything that they work harder than they need to, you know what I mean? Do you see this? Or again, do people by the time they get to you, they're just like, man, I think we need to add phone calls.
Yeah, by the time they get to me, yes, they've already kind of gone through the trials and tribulations and expensive losses of trying to just rely on technology and automation. And so at some point, there's something sexy about not having people involved and having everything run in an automated way. And then they crash and burn and they realize, hey, we need people and we need the right people. And I think that that's the key, is the right people who can focus. And so if in your office, you have somebody who's doing the billing, the like 50 different things, and then you want to dump the lead follow-up and nurture on them, that's a challenge. They could be the right person. They have so many other tasks.
Yeah.
It needs to be, the availability needs to be there. But yes, the phone call is so important. And we do hear all of the stories of people's attempts to not be on the phone, and not even because they don't value it, but because they don't know who can do it. They don't always have a resource until they learn, but they don't always have a qualified person who can put the attention to it over an extended business day, over all the hours that leads could come in. Right. A lot of offices have very specific hours, and then what happens after those hours. So
and if you're on this training, I'm guessing you've seen something like this before, but marketing, like business to business marketing, where there's people who do what we do and they try and like get the attention of the people who are on this or watching this training right now. It's very frustrating because people will put out like AI does everything. You just show up, don't do anything kind of deal. Right. And they sell this idea that, hey, finally, we've figured out how to like re-engineer human psychology. And I just want to like draw a line in the sand and say, the reason I do trainings like this and the reason that Adi is here today and the reason we're doing this is I want to just like let you know, first of all, anybody who puts something out where they just say, hey, this is going to completely replace your effort. Anything that's too good to be true, it just always is. It doesn't work that way. Okay. So you're in the right place. What we're talking about here is not hard. We're laying out the formula for you. When you have questions, we're going to answer them. Okay. But there is no replacement for that phone call. So whether you're doing it in your clinic or whether you have somebody like Adi and her team, it's important. Okay. So BRT, build relationship of trust. I kind of reference this in the, yeah, I close 80% of my patients.
Mm.
Well, there's something called borrowed credibility. Okay. And if I refer, like if I'm a patient at Adi's clinic, I'm like, oh man, Adi is the best chiropractor. She helped me with my headaches, all that kind of stuff. And here's my wife, Morgan. Morgan, go in there. She's going to help you with your sciatica, whatever. Well, Adi has borrowed trust, borrowed credibility already. So all she has to do is be herself. You guys can see Adi. She's very likable, right? And there's no need to put a show on. However, when we are talking with new prospects, there is a like, hey, it's that first day at school. You walk into the playground, you're like, all right, what am I doing here? Where are the threats? We're wired this way. There's no way around this, you guys. We must build a relationship of trust. And I think this leads into you. How important is building trust? How important is a script? We talked about this.
Yeah, they're vital because you're introducing the practice in that first interaction, and you're giving them their first experience. You never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Exactly.
And so reaching out and showing that you're responsive and making the phone call to have that rapport and that interaction is so huge, especially, I think, more than any other industry. I think especially in patient care. Yeah. Because it's so personal and it's so important to them that if they feel cared for and they feel attended to, that establishes the trust. And if you can treat them well before they've come in, well, then they're going to have confidence that you're going to treat them well as a patient. And I think that you want to always set that precedent from the get-go. So having a script to be consistent just helps everybody. The script being consistent is great for the person calling. It's great for the person on the receiving side because it's a smooth interaction, and smooth is nice. Yeah. So I think all of those things build rapport and relationships of trust, like you said, and that way, when they come in, they feel like everybody's so nice, everybody's so welcoming, I'm going to be in great hands. Yes. And that just sets the doctor up for success in closing them as a patient.
Yeah, you're right. And here's the bottom line, right? These numbers are simple. They're not hard to do. We've seen people hit these numbers once they figure out this middle part. Honestly, it's almost like once they pull their head away from looking at just the first part of it, which is getting the leads, right? Once they focus on this part, man, we've seen these numbers get hit, and they're not that hard. Okay. But here's the reality. I wanted to focus on these two parts specifically, just to let you know, if you do the things that we've talked about, the double call, the tactics, all these different things outline, your scripting, all that kind of stuff, you will hit that numbers. If you don't, if you are always, there's this thing that, Dr. Woolner helped me coin called ASS, which is abandoned ship syndrome. You thought I was going somewhere else with that, didn't you? Abandoned ship syndrome. Like, you get so frustrated with the first part of this, like, hey, I'm getting leads and the automation isn't setting the appointments. Maybe I'm getting like 20% of them, but I'm not getting what I need. You got to focus on the gap. You got to focus where the real results are going to come. Okay. And if you do, you'll get there. If you don't, you'll never get there. So, all right. I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the heavy content we've been doing to see if there's any questions. So go ahead. If you have questions, don't use the Q&A. In fact, Heather, I think there was a Q&A. I can't have both of them up on my screen. If you can throw whatever the Q&A or the question was into the chat, I've got that right here. And I can take a look. Are there any questions for myself, for Adi, anything so far that we've covered that you need some clarity on? Okay. Yeah, I thought I saw the Q&A flash, but maybe not. Okay. Any questions from anybody? There's so much more. Everyone's time covered 100%. So much more for everyone's time covered. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, Alan. Any other questions there? It's funny. Go ahead.
There is a question that's in, I do see it in the Q&A section. So
Yeah.
maybe they have left, but is appointment set and backend integration USA based? Vague question, but my own personal experience has been a full circle runaround with customer service, not targeting patient stream at all, but general telemed. Do not want to be referred or referenced as spam. So
is this saying that your service is your service US based? Is that what the question is? I don't know that I understand it.
the appointment set and backend integration. I don't quite understand the question, but the answer is yes, we're all US based. Everything we do is US based. So I think the automations are generating from, US number, like everybody's here.
Yeah. I mean, patient streams, all the automations are HIPAA compliant, if that's what the question is. And then AD, all their stuff is US based. So I think there was 2 questions.
And the other one is from Mark Aldridge. And where do we get a script?
Oh, Mark, first of all, how many of you guys have got my printed version of New Patient School yet? Because the script is in there, first of all. Okay. Second of all, if not, I'm going to show you how to get that afterwards. And we've been doing a lot of training on that recently, but I think we've got some pretty cool stuff. It seems like most of the questions are kind of out of the way. I want to know, has this so far, you guys? Like so far, we're not done yet. We've got some cool stuff coming, but I want to know right now, how are we feeling? Okay. Has this been question answered? Thank you. Awesome, Alan. Okay. And Carol, we're going to talk about that here in just a second. So here's the deal. I know that whenever we got new stuff, especially there's another question, D, maybe you want to check that. I know that a lot of people are feeling this right now. Like you're drinking straight from the hose. All right. And we've shared a lot of things. I do trainings every single week, but I want to ask you a question, and I don't want to go into a sales pitch. Okay. I'm not here to sell anything. So we've had questions. Is it okay if I go ahead and let you know how you can work with a D and her team and what that looks like? Jeff says, good. Everybody else cool with it? I don't want to start selling to you. I'm not here to sell. I just want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to get the questions answered. Okay. Good. All right, let's go. So the question is this: how would you like to plug your own dedicated office of trained lead qualifying professionals, plug into rather? Okay. Listen, here's the reality. I have been looking for professionals, for services, for people in a D's space for the better part of 12 months. And this is absolute truth. Okay. In fact, we betaed a company and I told him this is going to be a beta. I talked to a couple of our users and said, hey, this is a beta. This guy is selling something that I feel is too good to be true. I'll be honest. Let's see if he can do it. And shocker, he didn't. Okay. It didn't work out. Okay. So I had in that time frame, I wanted to make sure that anybody I found, anybody that I put into my audience of people, anybody that attached their name next to mine, okay, would do a couple things and there was a couple of minimum qualifications. Okay. So one of the things is we've had people that would say, hey, yeah, we'll just man the chat for you and we'll have a person there. I'm like, that doesn't help. That's not, I need somebody that will pick up the phone, and whoever it is, they need to be fluent native speakers. Okay. It had to be scripted. They had to be proven, and they had to, and almost like more than anything, they had to know the unit of sale, which is the new patient, which is what we're here today. You all own or are involved in private practices. That is how we grow our business, is with new patients. That's what Patient Stream is built to do. Okay. And then here was like a really weird little thing. And it was my thing. Like, again, if I'm going to attach it to me, you got to like maybe hold my hand a little bit and make sure that we're on the same page. That person had to let me train their staff. Okay. That person had to, again, I didn't write this book because in fact, my wife goes, hey, 10 years ago, if we were to say one of the two of us is going to write a book, would you have ever thought it would have been you? This is probably, I have written as many books as I have read. Okay. So that's not exactly true, but I didn't write this book because I love writing books. I wrote the book because I had something to say and something very specific to deliver. And so if somebody's going to be delivering that to my audience, they had to let me make sure that their staff was saying the same thing. And guess what? What was crazy about that is Adi let me look at the behind the curtain, which again, if that's not trust, let me look at what you're doing. Nobody else would let me do that. She showed me the script that they are already using, and it was kind of shocking, yet it was very, gratifying. Our scripts were almost identical. Kind of weird, actually. Did you get my script like a long time ago? It was weird. But anyway, I looked through, script was perfect, went through, got a training. Her team is all dialed in on what we're doing. And of course it had to be affordable. Okay. Paying $1,500, $2,000 a month, which by the way, if you hire a part-time employee, you're going to be paying that. Okay. But we're local based businesses, and the local business is under attack, and services are hard to deliver. So it had to be something that was affordable. So you guys ready? That was a big kind of like drum roll for what we're doing today. All right. You guys ready? Grab the chat. Let me know. Would you like to see how we work with Adi Campusano and her company? All right, let's go. Introducing a partnership between Adi Campusano, her company, Dedicated Office, powered by Patient Stream. Okay. Here is how it works. And here's the only thing you need to know about working with the two of us together. First, here's how it works. Okay. You pay a one-time onboarding fee of $9.97. So that's not recurring. We'll go in, we'll set you up. In fact, I'll let Adi, once we kind of merge into talking, I'll let you talk about how that process works, scripting, customizing stuff for these individual people. Okay. That's a one-time onboarding fee. And then after that, you're paying the normal option, which is what most of you will fall into, unless you have a really high lead volume requirement, about $549 a month, which is about 300 minutes of agent time. And I was asking Adi, I'm like, what does that mean? And what are the math shows is up to about approximately 65 leads. And we can take, again, questions about that here in just a minute. Okay. And if you need more calling time than that, like if you're running, a big clinic and you've got like 150 leads and more, we've got pricing and things for you available on that as well. But here's what you're getting for $549. Okay. First and foremost, you're getting like actual trained professionals who know how to qualify leads. We've talked about scripting. We've talked about all of the soft skills that it takes to get these outcomes. Okay. If you were to hire a person like this, bring them on staff, have them trained, that value is $5,000 is tiny. Okay. Lead qualifying service. This is a big thing. Okay. 300 minutes of agent time. Again, I'm saying $2,000 because 300 minutes, if you have somebody following up with 65 leads, up to 65 leads, that's at least a part-time employee at your clinic. Okay. And I don't run a clinic, but part-time workers are not cheap. You got all the federal stuff. So $2,000 a month is an easy number you could pay for somebody along those lines. Okay. Phone, text communication. Again, we've got the automation that kicks in with Patient Stream, which is awesome. But Adi and her team will man the fort when it comes to you're responding to people, all that kind of stuff. Again, having somebody at the front desk, $500 value, custom scripting. When it comes to scripting, all that kind of stuff, making sure that it's like a fit for what you're doing. If you were to hire a copywriter, a content writer, anybody who knew how to structure the scripts in a way to where they would actually output the unit of sale or output the thing you want, you're going to pay at least $2,500. If you hired me as a copywriter, it would be way more. That'd be 10, 20, 50, maybe not 50 grand. That would be awesome. 50 grand. That'd be sweet. Anyway, total value of $10,000, not to mention some of the things that we're not necessarily attaching a price tag to. If you want live call transfers, okay, that's a possibility if you want to do that. Calendar integration, HIPAA compliance. And again, this was a big one. The U.S. call center. I mean, I have nothing against, foreign call centers, anything like that. They serve a great function and some of them do a good job. But by and large, when we want to deliver trust, okay, to the people who are, again, we're offering a service. We're not selling a widget, okay? We need the best first impression possible, and that is hard to achieve without what a D has already, figured out, native agents. All right, so here's what to do next. If you are already a PatientStream user, okay, you can go ahead and open up another tab right now if you want to. It's do.mypatientstream.com. You'll be redirected to a website. The website has a video of a D and I there, kind of, again, talking about how this works. It's short video, but below are the other pricing options if you need more than 300 minutes of call time. Okay. And if you're not a PatientStream user, you need to go to mypatientstream.com/demo. On the demo, I will show you how PatientStream works. I'll show you how you can get started. And once you get started, how you can plug into a D and what she's doing. PatientStream costs $397 a month. Okay. A D services, $549 a month. You're under $1,000 to have the most robust prospecting and lead qualifying system available on the market. Like, there's nothing that compares. Yeah. In my opinion. And my opinion's all right. I don't know. But all right. So if you have any questions, we'll go ahead. Now I know that we've got chat. So again, don't use the Q&A, please. I guess a D could do it. But if you have questions, go ahead and grab the chat. I know, Carol, I had answered your questions. Do they work after business hours?
We do. We're not 24 hours, but we do an extended business day. So we're in Texas, so Central Time, I'll give it to you Central Time, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. during the week, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. We close Sunday, and we just close for major U.S. holidays. Anything that we miss after hours, we immediately hit the next morning. So as soon as we're in, we're calling and following up on any leads that come in on a Sunday afternoon. We'll get those Monday morning. And I think people have a general expectation that they're not going to hear back outside of typical hours, but we do keep those evenings open. So if people are home from work and they're seeing the ad and they're opting in, they're going to be responding to it right away.
Okay. Are you only for Chiro, or can you do integrated clinics?
All of it. We can do integrated stem cell. Yes, we can do integrated stem cell, Chiro. I mean, everything. And part of the value that was explained in that the setup fee is that we onboard in a very customized way for every single office. So we will integrate into the scripting, the campaigns, the features and benefits of your services, what to expect during a consultation. And then our staff doesn't just read off of a script. We actually know what you guys are doing. We know about the services that you're offering, and we'll always study and understand things before we move into a calling project. So we have experience in all of those genres already. And then we always make sure that we're fully prepared to represent your office when we do start calling for you.
Yeah, that's a big one. In fact, that was one of, I didn't put it on my list of things other than like the new patient game. Like, that's what I was trying to articulate by you understanding the new patient game. There's a lot of new things like functional medicine, regenerative medicine, all of these things that are constantly, and we got a Q&A. Would you mind grabbing that? Go ahead.
You want to finish that thought, and then I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll just say, so there's a bunch of these services that clearly, I mean, doing what I do, I know a lot of them. And so when I was working with Adi, I was actually quite surprised with your familiarity with a lot of these services. Obviously, you've been working with these types of clinics for a while. But yes, they're very skilled and knowledgeable about even the regenerative stuff. So what's the question?
So the question is, can you take payments for appointments? And the answer is absolutely. We do it all the time. Yeah.
It's interesting because that's one of the things we have a couple of users who right now are doing pay in advance stuff. Now I have, again, 42%, 65%. Those numbers and the tweaking, you really can take control of the gap formula when you understand those numbers. And if that means that you want to have if you get people to show in advance, I've got a doc over in Florida. He's like, we got like a 95% show rate. Okay. And if you have a 95% show rate, what does that do to your appointment set rate? You don't have to get, 60%. I don't know what the math is, probably something like 45%. I don't know. But at the end of the day, again, the aggregate math is 42%. And what he's doing is he's getting payment in advance and the schedule. So, and by the way, he's doing a $47 offer, and he does incentivize them to pay for their appointment by reducing the cost to $20. Okay. We're going to have more of that kind of stuff, coming down the pipe as far as some of those tactics. But yes, that was actually a cool thing, because you had mentioned that to me, that you offer prepaid stuff, unsolicited by me. So I was like, oh, I didn't even ask. That's sweet. So yeah, if you want, now that's not your default. People need to customize that with you on the onboarding, correct?
Yeah, but we know for this type of appointment where they are getting undivided attention with the doctor, it's valuable, and we don't want to waste anybody's time. So there is a more of a tendency with chiro, integrated medicine, med spa, like all of those types of appointments, where there is a preference to get a payment, either to prepay an appointment or even to take a card to reserve the appointment slot and then communicate the cancellation policy. So if they no show, they would be charged a fee. So there's different ways that we can go about it. And I feel like every office runs the way that they like to run, and we can accommodate whatever those preferences are. And then we can always pivot if we see that one thing is not working and we need to adjust. We can always do that. We're extremely flexible. It's not that we set the direction initially and don't deviate. If we need to deviate, we will, but we are completely comfortable taking a credit card to reserve an appointment, taking a credit card for no-show fees, taking a credit card for prepayment. We can do all of it.
Yeah. And this is a really interesting working relationship that Dee and I have here. And again, it says dedicated office powered by PatientStream. And that's because we are reading off the same sheet of music. And a lot of these things, again, I have historically had a stance against prepaid, only because, again, the way that everybody's asking for it and the way that it's been pitched to me is, listen, man, just have it be automated. Okay. They click this button, they go to a confirmation page, then they go to a pay now page. And it's like, man, the idea of marketing funnels, I get it, but you are a service-based business. You are not selling, sunglasses online. Okay. You are an actual person. And so the reason I have resisted that is because that's a disconnect. People don't understand that people buy from people. And so like having them pay on a like a payment page or whatever, a checkout page after they've opted in, to me is bad. It's just bad practice, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to remove you from the prospecting part and the qualifying part of your business. Okay. And hopefully, as we've gone through this presentation today, this workshop today, that's abundantly clear that that's not how it's done. Okay. You cannot do that. But, if you don't want to do it yourself, we've got scripts. By the way, we've got scripts. We've got all the tactics. Adi is, she's now a dedicated office. She's a partner with PatientStream. So she will be back. We'll do other trainings. Okay. She doesn't have to get every single person that works for PatientStream, only the people that are a perfect fit for what she's doing. Okay. And from my experience, that's a lot of people. Okay. And Carol, to your question, Adi services are based on minutes. Okay. So if you have more leads for her to call, she'll call them. Okay. You just got to adjust the amount of call time you need for your clinic. I have a question. And I know this is a question that if nobody's asking it, they wanted to ask. Let's talk about like calendar. How do you get access to people's calendars? How do you schedule these patients? These EHRs are, some of them are closed loop. What's the best practice on that?
So depending on what we're working with, we accommodate. So if we're using PatientStream to book, because they're using that calendar, great. But if you have an EMR and you have a software that's web-based, we ask that you would create a user for us on that web-based software. And then we go in just like your office staff. We literally become an extension of your office. There are offices and softwares that are not web-based, and that provides a little bit of a challenge, but nothing we haven't overcome already. And so one option is for us to fully qualify the appointment and then live transfer it to the in-person staff, or to the in-office staff to find a time. If we don't have access to times because your office moves so quickly and there's no way to make those available to us in real time, then we can do all of the legwork of establishing trust, building rapport, qualifying the patient, and then we can live transfer and let your staff know, hey, this person's ready to go, and live transfer it and immediately send you an email with all the information we've gotten from them. So that's one option. Another option is to work together where you're providing us kind of a week of or 3 days of appointment times available that we can book throughout the day as leads are coming in. So we'll kind of work together based on the limitations of your software, but ideally if you have a web-based software, we'll just go right in and use it the same way you do.
Okay, so we've got a couple questions. How does our staff know someone's scheduled before they come in? Do we get notified by you? I think
So
you
we
kind of explained that, but let's answer that one
Right.
specifically.
We're completely transparent in the way that we work. So several things happen. In our call center software, where we design the script, we're walking through that and we're logging all of the information that we're getting from the patient as we're going through that conversation. So as soon as we hang up that call, we send an email to your office, and it can go to as many people as you want. It can go to text messages as well, but you'll get all of the details, including the day and time of the appointment. So if we're not working directly in your software, you'll have that information to enter right away. So that's one way. We also keep a shared spreadsheet with all of the leads that are coming in, where you can see our activity in reaching out to people. If there's additional notes, we highlight all of the scheduled appointments so that you can see it very easily at a glance and know exactly what's going on. And if we can have access to your CRM, to your EMR, then we'll book it directly in there. Plus we'll send the notification, plus you'll see it on the spreadsheet. So it's a kind of a one call resolution where we're handling it all and also putting it into your software. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so what phone number do you use to call or text?
Great question. So with our call center software, we have the ability to push out any caller ID. So the number, what we would typically do is the number that's in your patient stream that sends out the text automations, we can push out that number so it's consistent. And then we can forward it to ring over to our call center when people call back. So when they get a text message, sometimes people will just call because they're like, oh, you guys are texting me, let me just call, I have some questions. And then we can direct those calls to us so it doesn't burden your office. And then when we call out, and so if we double dial and they still are not available, they might call us back later, and we want that to route back to us so that we can walk them through the script and get them qualified and booked. So that's the other kind of reasoning, but we can push out any caller ID. It's a custom feature.
Okay, cool. And I think there was one other question. For some reason, my PowerPoint or my keynote went down. Carol, do the average office only need about 300 minutes?
It depends on your ad spend. Your ad spend will determine how many leads are coming in. So it depends on how much you're trying to generate and grow. If you're doing about, I don't know, let's say $1,000 in ad spend, Sam, then you should be within that 300-minute window. If your goals are more aggressive in growing your business, then those percentage, the 4265, that's all based on what your ad spend is to generate the leads that we would then be able to book and get in, and then you would convert. So I would say it really just depends on how aggressively you want to grow, but a minimum ad spend of about $1,000 would be appropriate for that 300-minute plan.
Okay. And I know we've got new things coming down the pipe. In fact, Patient Stream is going to be making some announcements here probably in about a month or two with regard to event marketing. Do you guys do anything? I haven't even asked you this. I might be like throwing you on the spot. Do you do anything for like workshops and event marketing and things like that? Like if go ahead.
Go ahead, elaborate. So I make sure.
Yeah, if I'm throwing like a dinner workshop and I want to run some ads and say, hey, show up here on Friday or whatever, do you guys do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. We can handle RSVPs. We can handle registering people for events, whether it's paid or free. So yes, anything communication wise related to growing your business, we will participate in.
Okay, cool. Well, this has been a lot of fun. You guys, hopefully you've had as much fun as I have. I've had I don't know. I've even learned stuff. Adi's amazing. I put the links to go and sign up for Adi's services in the chat. Okay, do.mypatientstream.com. If you're not a member, mypatientstream.com/demo. If you want the resources that we were talked about today, the script, all the kind of cool stuff, mypatientstream.com/book. Okay. One more thing. If you are like, hey, man, this thing is interesting, I want to do this, but maybe there was something that you didn't get a chance to ask Sam at mypatientstream.com, shoot me an email. Let me know. Okay. I'm happy to respond to you. I'm happy to even get on a call with you. It is no problem. And anything else, Adi, before we go?
I think that's all. I'm also available if you have questions and you'd like to speak to me before moving forward with anything that we're doing in this partnership. I'm always available to set up a call and kind of walk through your specific scenario and questions about your office and how you'd like to see it grow. Awesome.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming. Adi, thank you for coming. And we will see you soon.
All right. Take care. Thanks.
You guys.